Okay, looks like we're live. And Dr. Tiff is here, and we're going to be going live on YouTube and Facebook. And now, in about 2 seconds, we're live on Instagram. Say hi, Doc.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing very, very well. I enjoy our weekly talks. This has been fun to do.
It really has. And just, I feel like interesting topics, like things that, I mean, I don't know if you feel this way, but I get the same questions over and over and over from clients over the years. And when they start, every new person has kind of the same questions, but I feel like we're really diving into some interesting, different things that impact hormones or weight loss or progress. So it's been fun.
It's super fun. So, hey, welcome, Ashley. So, okay, the topic today, let's dive right into it. The topic is the impact of environmental toxins on hormone balance. And this is something I think many people are clueless of. I was clueless about this.
Yeah.
But hormone imbalances, the fact is, why does this matter? Hormone imbalances are rising, especially in women over 35. And so there's a big issue. Environmental toxins are hidden disruptors. They can interfere with metabolism, fertility, mood, your thyroid and many other glands, weight, and more. And so there's just to add a little juice to this, there's a group called Environmental Working Group, EWG. They found that there's over 200 industrial chemicals in the umbilical cord or in the umbilical cord blood of newborns.
Really?
I just found this study before we got in the call, and I was like, wow, that's really wild. So if you think this doesn't matter, think again, right? So so thoughts on that, Doc?
Well, I had not heard that. I'll be honest, that's a little bit shocking. But what I have heard in recent research is, what I have noticed and has been interesting to me over the last 5-10 years is so many more people have gluten allergies, have dairy intolerances, or, various food sensitivities. And I read that if you're born C-section versus going through the birth canal and getting exposed to a lot of the bacteria and all the things that you potentially boost immune system going through, you're more prone to have some of those food intolerances or sensitivities. So not directly related to that, but I mean, I can see where like how you're birthed and the umbilical cord or the birth canal or how all of that could play into long-term health and just different things that might impact you. So
yeah, exactly. So let's talk about what are endocrine disruptors. So basically these are chemicals that mimic or block hormones. That's the technical definition, right? And so they affect estrogen, progesterone, thyroid, insulin, cortisol. There's many more. I think there's 60 hormones. The funny thing about this is that, we only know 3 to 5% about the human body. So like when we say there's 60 hormones, 10 years from now, there might be 65. We might find more.
Well,
we
know
very little.
When you were saying that, I was just thinking, I don't think most people know that insulin is a hormone. Leptin and ghrelin are hormones. Cortisol is a hormone. We just think testosterone, estrogen. When you say hormones, that's immediately what people think. But yes, every organ in the body has its own little messengers that do what they're supposed to do.
Yep. Good point. That's why we really have these conversations, is because we want people to actually be educated on this. Our education, in my opinion, about the body has been in the wrong area. This is my opinion. We've been studying how the body, we've been studying disease. And I want people to understand health. So I'd rather people understand how the body does work, not how the body doesn't work. Mm-hmm. That's a big distinction. So let's come up with some examples of the endocrine disruptors. BPA plastics, huge. Canned foods, right? So BPA plastics, water bottles. This one I was really guilty of the single-use plastics. So I've now switched to I drink a ton of water. I only use the stainless steel water cups. I actually send these to each one of my patients because I want them to get away from those single-use plastics. Is that one you've seen?
Yeah, and I think it's big. I think people are more aware of it now, not just because of the toxins, but just because of the environmental impact of so many wasted water bottles. And I know when I go to events and they give, you see like half drank water bottles because people don't finish them. So there's also like a waste issue. So I just think people are more aware in general of bringing their own refillable water bottles or using ones that are more environmentally friendly or better for your health. I think one is leftovers. Like how long people are willing to eat foods in their fridge that they don't realize the potential bacterias and things that they're then ingesting. And I'm probably just as guilty. It's like, oh, that's fine. Like that yogurt's fine, or whatever's, like I made chicken on whatever day and it's fine. But I mean, I would imagine most people probably eat leftovers longer than they should. And what is that doing just to disruption?
How long? So how long should someone, is that based on the food?
I think there's probably, I think it probably depends on the food. But what I have always advocated is like 3 days for like a cooked once it's cooked and you're putting it in and it's 3 days, like move on. But yeah, to your point, like if it's like a container of something and you've opened it and just eaten some out of it, like a big thing of yogurt or cottage cheese, there's maybe a little bit longer shelf life. But I'm talking like you made dinner, you have a Tupperware of leftovers, and then you don't eat it for 2 or 3 days. You should probably.
Okay. That's a good one. Cool. Also, fragrances and lotions have phthalates in them. And that's a really big one. If you look at your fragrance and lotions, there are so many things inside there. Like if you get, for example, if you get a good beef tallow is just one ingredient. But you go to the store, there's 15 ingredients. That's another one that I've seen is an issue for people.
Like cosmetics in general, just like even body washes, shampoos, things like that.
Those can be endocrine disruptors for sure. So yeah, the non-stick cookware. One of my patients called me out on this one. So I'm a big, in our program for our hormone reset, and we have people remove all fats and for 40 days. So their body can burn the fat off. That's why I have such huge success. And so I have people cook with an air fryer. But then someone asked me, oh, is the air fryer, dangerous because it has non-stick? And I realized it does have non-stick. So I just switched over to glass air fryers. And they are amazing. It is so simple. It's a full glass bowl that literally goes inside an air fryer. So no more nonstick cookware. Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah. Well, and even like we were just talking about the food storage, like glass containers versus like plastic Tupperware, things like that. And I know sometimes that can be cost prohibitive for people, or just get disposable ones. Like you can go on Amazon, get those big meal prep packs of stuff that you but again, waste and things, it's like the cost benefit you kind of have to weigh for yourself. But if you can just pick a few that you maybe are doing more regularly and dial back on it, it's still going to help.
So exactly. So this is the hey Eileen, this is the basics of this is so when I do send meal prep containers, I always do BPA free stuff. But if you can get glass containers for your meal prep, it's going to be way better instead of having the reusable plastic. So that's pretty big. Another one that's kind of not thought about very often is pesticides. So this is a big topic because there's part of this is being able to feed all of enough people, but the pesticides and the non-organic produce, you'll notice if you buy organic food, it doesn't last as long, right, as the non-organic. That's because it's sprayed with pesticides. These are known hormone disruptors.
Yeah, well, and even just we've talked a lot about processed food in general, and I think that that's a great way to kind of gauge. It's like lunch meat. Even if you look at lunch meat, which is highly processed protein, but if you buy boar's head shaved at the counter lunch meat versus off the shelf Oscar Mayer, I'm throwing brands all over the place here, but like that's going to last a lot longer even because even the boar's head has less preservatives, less nitrates, less things in it because it's fresher, but it does go bad quicker. So I think you just have to, but be aware. I think the shelf life is a great indicator of like how processed is this food.
Great. Exactly. Love that one. Love that one. So let's look at what's the impact on, I like looking at women's hormones. Listen, men, you have the same hormones women do. We just get released. Those hormones are released in different time frames. Okay. So, but to me, I like studying women's hormones because if you understand a woman's hormones, you can easily understand a men's hormones.
And I would argue women have a little more hormonal, emotional regulation too than men do.
For sure.
Like the huge mood swings of hormones. But
yeah. And Dr. Tiff, do you know that when a woman goes through in 28 or 30 days of the monthly cycle, a man's hormones releases in 24 hours. So you do see a lot more because you're actually really getting that long drawn out. We're moving so quickly through it that we don't even pay attention to it. Yeah. So
you get like one grumpy day and you're over it.
Yeah. Right. That's right. So that's why this is important, because toxins can raise estrogen, and I'll see bloating, weight gain, more extreme menstrual pains, even fibroids. And so the toxins can also disrupt the thyroid, slow your metabolism, increase fatigue, even cause more up and down mood issues, right? And so the other thing that I've noticed is they affect cortisol. I'm sure they affect a lot more things, but with environmental toxins, I'll see it can lead to chronic stress, which when there's chronic stress, it starts laying down belly fat. So those are a few that I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's happening is when toxins are introduced to the system, whether it's food toxins, which we've talked about, caffeine, alcohol, artificial sweeteners, highly processed foods, those are toxins that we're ingesting through food. But when things are just in and around us, in the products we wear, our detergents, our lotions, our geographical location, whatever it may be, our cells are dying. I mean, they're literally attacking our cells, and there's oxidative stress on the cells, and then it's harder for them to kind of come back, and especially depending on the exposure to the toxin. And so, yeah, it's like our body's fighting back, and that's stress. I mean, just like you would be in fight flight if you were being attacked by a physical person, you're attacking your cells, you just can't see it. So
yep. Exactly. No, that's a really great point. There was in 2017, the NIH had a study that linked the higher levels of phthalates levels to early menopause and literally ovarian aging. So BPA exposure has been linked to increased insulin resistance, which is kind of interesting, and obesity, especially in women. That was a Harvard that actually found that. So I actually went and found a bunch of these studies before just to reference these for people. So they know we're not just making this up, and it's not some kind of fear-based thing. It's like literally happening and been studied by well-known sources, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, and I think the hard part is some of them you don't even see. It's like the silent killers a little bit. I mean, certainly you can make choices on the products you buy and be mindful of ingredients and, remove certain things. But some of it is just like we live in a world that does have a lot of technology and a lot of, different types of things just in our environment that are necessary for modern existence. And so I just think you can't totally fortify yourself from it. I think it's an awareness, not to be like a alarmist. It's just be aware of it. And if you're, are noticing unusual type symptoms, maybe just do a little audit of like, have I bought a different something this week? Did I try a different? Because I sometimes will just buy what's on sale, right? And then it's like all of a sudden it's like I'm getting like a little itchy from my detergent or something. I'm like, oh, I bought different. So I just think it's awareness, and then you can kind of pivot as needed.
Yeah. That's that's definitely a great point. Then we can kind of let's talk, because this is important, I think, for a lot of people, is toxins and weight gain. They've actually come up with this name, which I think is so interesting. I had never heard this before, and I was kind of researching this again before. Obesogens. Have you heard of that?
No. Is that like adaptogens?
Toxins that reprogram fat cells to grow and multiply.
I'm feeling a little like, on that one, Doc. Who has created this term? I don't know.
It's totally, but that's how all terms are created, right? So they're literally, now think about it, because it's not necessarily that the chemical is going in and reprogramming it, right? It's that what's happening is the chemical is influencing higher levels of stress and laying down fat. That's really what it's doing.
Like
so
indirectly, yeah.
Indirectly, it's disrupting the metabolic rate, throwing off appetite and signals, and then ultimately it looks like it's reprogramming, right? So
Gotcha.
there's a journal. I'll give you this research. So there's a journal, Environmental Health Perspectives. It showed that people with higher levels of PCB and DDE, which are DDE is a pesticide byproduct, were 5 times more likely to be obese, even with the same caloric intake. So that's how they found this. They're like, someone else is eating the same calories. I'm sure there's other factors, but when there's higher levels of pesticides and toxins, they literally had more fat.
Is that though on the food they were eating? Like, because I would just be curious, is it because they were eating more processed food? So the calories were the same, but the quality of the calories. I'd be curious where the pesticides or the chemicals they were finding were like originating.
Yeah, and how would you even? You have to look at the study because it's in the Journal of Environmental Health Perspectives, and so they just knew that those people had higher levels of those things. I don't know if it was they were eating in those things or how did they test them before, right? So that's a good question, right? So I like that. One of the pieces to look at, I think, is this is probably a whole nother conversation we could do, but it's like the detox pathways. When your pathways of detoxing, like your liver, your kidneys, your gut, and your skin, when those are overloaded, that's something that can actually affect hormone signaling. And I experienced this firsthand. I actually thought this was bullshit. I didn't realize that was even really a thing. But in 2019, I had my detox pathways were so backed up, they couldn't get rid of the toxins. I was so poisoned, I couldn't even think straight. I didn't walk for literally for 6 months.
Really?
And yeah. So it's interesting because it's almost like your blood becomes so toxic, and then it does seep. Those toxins can seep in through the blood-brain barrier, and then it disrupts like your neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. And so I was like, when those pathways are locked up, you will notice your emotional state is terrible. So it makes it harder. I think the whole point is the more toxins go into your system, the more your body has to process, making it harder to then flush out. If they get backed up, your body actually has a hard time even cleaning out your blood, basically.
Yeah, I'm kind of envisioning almost like they're just clogging the drain, you know, like in a more extreme situation, it's kind of like plaque in our arteries or, deposits that block the blood flow to the heart or the brain, like that can add up over time. And these are more on that cellular level where it's just like our lymphatic system and our liver and all the things that can't get rid of because the pathways are getting just a little gunked up from things, So that's interesting.
Exactly. So that's part of, kind of we talked about what is the issue? Like, what do we do about it? I mean, and, I think this truly is an issue that is unpopular to talk about because you remove convenience when we talk about it. And that seems like, wow, I'd just rather things be convenient, but what's the cost benefit? Changing over from glass to glass from plastics, I think is a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy swap because you can still reuse. Like I'm thinking if you go and you buy one of those big variety packs of containers with all the different sizes and all the things, it's probably more expensive, but like you never have to buy, like you essentially never have to buy them again versus if you get the big thing of the Tupperwares, over time they stain or they break or they get microwaved and melt or whatever. So
Yeah.
at least like, you know, hey, I'm buying this. It's more right now, but over time, and I can sanitize it in the dishwasher and all the things.
Good point. Great point. So that's one. And then I mentioned the air fryer. Look up it doesn't cost more to get a glass air fryer, and it is such a cool.
Yeah.
You can actually see your food being cooked instead of having to open it up to see.
That's cool. I don't even have an air fryer, believe it or not. So, but that sounds, I know what they look like though with the stainless I've never seen a glass one. So that sounds
yeah,
cool.
I have 3 air fryers. That's the only thing I cook in anymore because there's so many reasons behind it, but we have all of our patients cook in the air fryer. Since we're removing oils, this allows you to not load and bathe your food in oils. So that's one of the secret weapons of the air fryer, but of our program. So one thing, this is probably a bit controversial, but switching to organic produce. You know, I've heard a lot of things on this. Is like, if you could truly get organic produce, beautiful. Does Whole Foods and natural grocers have organic produce? We don't really know. They say they do. We just don't know. I'm just saying. Yeah. I do notice though when you get organic stuff, it doesn't last as long, and that means that probably is more organic. So, one of the things that I do with all my patients in the 40 days it takes to reset their hormones, we remove all skincare products. It's a very unpopular thing with women, and it's one of the reasons that we have such great results too, is because there's so much junk inside the skincare products, and we have them upgrade into oil-free products that have less and less ingredients in them. But I think it's a big one. It's a huge one.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not like I don't even hardly wear makeup most days, so I'm probably in the clear on that. But I know most women have a very in-depth kind of facial / beauty routine, and so I can see where that would be something hard for people to not do. But also, if you do it and there's stuff in it and you're doing it every day, sometimes twice a day, that really could be a game changer. So,
yep, exactly. So this is one that I've known, but I wanted to find a research on, and I actually did. So one of the things we can do is support your daily detox pathways. That's one of the things you can do. Now, this infrared sauna is beautiful for that. Coffee enema, incredible for that. Even you could even say cold plunging, and to move the lymphatics through. But cruciferous vegetables is one of them. And I'll tell you a study in a second. Cruciferous vegetables, lemon water, beautifully to help clean out the pathways. And then sweating. Go exercise, walk.
Yeah.
But, so listen to this. I found this study. 2020, it's a review in Nutrients. It's called Nutrients. Found that cruciferous vegetables, like broccoli, enhance estrogen detoxification via phase 2 liver pathways. I thought that was pretty freaking cool.
Did they say like the volume or frequency of eating them?
How much? No, I don't know. But here, I'll type this in actually, let me type this in our comments because it'll stay with this video. Yeah. I'll type in the study, and then we can look up the study. So, but and the reason I wanted to look that up was because I have literally seen, back in my 20s, I was a natural bodybuilder, and I did every supplement and creatine and all kinds of stuff. And one day I finally said, what happens if I just literally eat vegetables? And broccoli was one of my 8 every single day. My system made a dramatic difference, a dramatic change. I was so much healthier. My muscles grew better. And I think this is why, is that they help those liver detoxification pathways.
Yeah. Well, and you make a good point. I think people take so many supplements extraneously today for any number of reasons. And I think those can cause some disruption. I had a young man, he was in his early 20s, came in, was seeing no progress. He was tracking diligently, meal prepping, training 6 days a week, doing all the things. And he comes in and he brings this bag of supplements and sets them on my desk and was like, this is all the stuff I'm taking. I just wanted to, to show you before we get started. And I was like, stop all of this. Like, let's just go clean slate, train, eat food, sleep, hydrate, we took all of it out. We might have kept creatine in, but very minimal other things. Like he was doing, you know, and
Yep.
20 pounds of body fat, 12 weeks,
Yep.
12%. He got down to like 11%. I mean, he was already young. His hormones are optimized. Like he had lots of things on his side in that case, but like he was just taking pre-workout and this and BCAAs and creatine and all. I was like, just stop
Yep.
all the madness. So I just think people just start grasping when they're not seeing progress and they get frustrated and, well, I'll try this omega-3 and I'll try this thing and I'll try all this. And then I think your body just like, what is happening?
Yep. Yeah, we could probably do a whole episode on that.
Mm-hmm.
With me and my past of in natural bodybuilding, and then having coached bodybuilders throughout as a chiropractor. I can tell you some big secrets of food that big companies don't want you to know, because if you knew where creatine naturally was, if you knew,
eat it, yeah,
right, you knew that it's in a better form already laid out there for you, you wouldn't be buying some of these things as much. So anyway, I think that's the, let's just say, having said all the stuff we did on this, is like, you can't avoid all toxins. It's not about, having you be in fear. It's just truly being empowered, right? So just take one. If you just take one thing from this video, choose one thing and just change that for now, right? So you can just at least start lowering the burden. Because when I think about this, I think about the fact that how much cancer is prevalent, and we haven't found what causes cancer. And we can, you kind of go, what causes cancer? Well, stressors, toxins, trauma, right? And those are huge categories. But so just if you can just take a few of these things, make little changes, it's not about being in fear, and empower yourself. That's all.
Yeah, I think those are great suggestions. And like you said, just little stuff it can't hurt, right? It's like, you're still doing something better for your body, even if it's, not a huge, magic bullet to your success. It's still better for you at the end of the day. So,
yep, you got it. Well, it's right on time. This is awesome.
Awesome.
I love the topic and love just the banter back and forth. Just, I wanted to bring some stuff that's like controversial and unknown, just to see. So this is good.
Good stuff. See ya.
All right. We'll see you guys on the really next week. Same time, same channel.